Now Steve Kilbey has written and published his own book, a collection of prose poetry called Earth, and released an album with the same name. That's his second solo LP.
Arrive here unexplained. I can't believe the chance you took. I can't believe you're back again. Sister, come in from the rain. Those images are fading now. You shouldn't bring them back again. In the other time, in a bargain basement, you were recognized. Then from time to time, much to my amazement, with each ensuing episode, your elegance it really showed. Buildings blossom into view, the landscapes change and people blur. I can't believe this interests you. I read that bedtime interview. I wish they wouldn't print those things. It only makes it hard for you. In the other time, in a bargain basement, you were recognized. Then from time to time, much to my amazement, with each ensuing episode, your elegance it really showed.
Steve, I'm glad we had this opportunity to sort of catch up with what you're doing before the church revives itself. Earlier this year you released the Earthed album, and now we have the book Earthed. Is there a connection between the two?
Possibly referring to the Unearthed album, and then there's the Earthed album and the Earthed book. I just like the play on words between unearthed and earthed, and sort of the tangential kind of opposite meaning that they have. I guess it's just sort of a bit confusing. I sometimes enjoy confusing people.
But the Earthed album, is that meant to be a companion to the book?
Definitely. The Earthed album, which just came out last week, is a soundtrack for the book. It's sort of an accessory to the book. Like, in my mind, the book is the most important thing, and then if you enjoy the book, you can sort of, as one wag put it, you can read the record and listen to the book.
How did the book come around? They told me that you're the first sort of famous Australian pop musician to put out a book. How did you get round to deciding to write and publish it?
I've always felt that sort of song lyrics are a bit confining for what some of the things I've wanted to express, and I just thought, to hell with it, I'll pay for it myself and put it out. And so I just sat down at home and wrote it, and then a colleague of mine put me in touch with the kind of people who could typeset it and, decide how thick the cover should be and all those things I hadn't really thought about, and it was quite an easy thing to do, really.
The style you use is prose poetry,
yeah,
which, in a way, for people who don't read a lot of poetry, is more accessible.
Definitely.
Not a very common style, though. Why did you choose that?
To me, prose poetry gives the best of both worlds. I think poetry has a certain, just the look of it, the way it's written in verses, puts people off a bit. And prose itself tends to just be like an essay. So I like the actual layout of prose, where you just use sentences rather than verses. But being able to use the stylistic sort of jumps that a poet can use, it's a poetic license. So you can jump all over the place within a paragraph rather than within a verse.
And you do.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I found it a really easy to read book and quite entertaining, a lot of it.
Yeah.
How different is it from writing songs?
It's totally different, because if you've got a song, you know, the song's going to be 3 minutes long, and you know it's got to have metre, and it's probably got a rhyme, it's got to have a verse and a chorus and a refrain and a middle eight and a bridge. And with writing this book, I just sat down with a piece of paper in front of me and just could be as long as I like, short as I like. You know, you can broach any subjects you like, you can swear or talk about sort of things that you probably can't get into. You know, you don't have to think, oh, are they going to play this on the radio, or is, you know, someone in the record company not going to like this? You can just do whatever you like.
Well, I guess to some extent you can do what you like with music too. I mean, music has its free forms, and songs, there's no real reason why songs can't also be as free form as poetry.
I guess not. I won't argue with that. There's no reason, but it just tends to be like rock music does have a certain kind of, there are stylistic boundaries you have to work within. Like, even you get your most hardcore punk band and the words rhyme, you know? They have a hard job finding a word to rhyme with anarchy a lot of the time, but nonetheless it does have to rhyme. It does have to have a certain beat, you know? Whereas with what I did with this book, it could just be, you know, 1 sentence long, or it could be 3 pages long. It could just do anything it liked. And you never have to come back to this recurring theme, which songs are supposed to have something that tie them all together.
What do you find more satisfying, this solo work you've been doing or your work with the church?
I really like doing things on my own. It's a bit like the difference between playing football and playing tennis. You know, it's nice to have the other chaps there to pass the ball to and sort of help you score the goals. On the other hand, it's good to sort of know that, you know, everything you're doing sort of resting on your own shoulders. It'd be really hard to write a book with the rest of the band, because you'd all be holding the pen saying, do you mind if I put a comma in here, Richard? You know what I mean? Whereas when you're on your own, you just do whatever you like. You don't have to verbalise your ideas. I find that by the time I've finished verbalising an idea to, say, someone else in the band or an engineer or a producer or whoever's involved, it's sort of, the fact has sagged through constant analysis and I'm already tired of it. When you do things on your own, you can just go straight from your brain to your left hand and do it. And that's what I like.
Mm. In the beginning of your book, you sort of suggest that poetry is a purer form, somehow incorruptible because there's no money involved.
Exactly.
Pretty different to the music business.
Exactly. It's probably the art form that does have the least money involved. You know, there's no top 100 billboard of poets, you know what I mean? And, you know, there's no cocaine and glamour associated with it. It's just people write it for the love of it and people read it for the love of it. And as I said in the book, there's, apart from the stylistic tricks that you have up your sleeve, there's no way you can enhance your poetry. There's no, you know, you can't electronically process it to make it better poetry. So that's what I really like about it. It's to me, it's probably the most pure art form there is.
You've had quite a break with the church and all the members have gone off and done your own things.
Yeah.
Are you going to go back together and have a different approach, do you think, because you've had a chance to explore all these other avenues?
It could work either way. I mean, it could be like, oh, we get back together and everybody's got something off their chest, or it could, you know, we could get back together and sort of people could say, I liked it better on my own when I did this. I think we're all sort of big and ugly enough to kind of work with each other and sort of grudgingly accept that each one sort of performs a function that the other one can't do. I don't think there's going to be any friction over these projects.
But what about you, after having a chance to do all these other things? Are you going back with a different state of mind?
Not really, no. I regard that... I see it as the church as something that I do, and these other things are me, not that the church is my main thing, and then occasionally, you know, I get a note from my mum and I can go out and do something on my own. So I just go back and approach the church as the church, you know, which is it's something that's sort of, it's greater than the sum total of its parts.
You're certainly a very prolific writer. both of songs and other material.
Yeah.
I believe that you have a lot of material that hasn't quite seen the light of day yet.
Yeah, I'm threatening to release a triple or quadruple album of all the rest. Just get it all out in one go. I must have 60 or 70 songs at home, which Unearthed is, the first album was the tip of that iceberg. And like that one's been around, Unearthed's been around for a long time, still selling well, so I've sort of figured, you know, if people like that, then I might as well get all the rest of it out of my system once and for all, because there's stuff sitting at home on a tape which I think is as good as anything else I've done and deserves to be heard.
The oceans are drying, children stop crying, we're trying, we're dying to leave this island to you. No recovery, each day's a terrible discovery. Under the wind they cover me, and love is blue. Why do you want me to want something that means something? Why do you want me to want? I don't have a clue. Do you? A bribe from Venus, I know she's above and between us. She's been with us, seen with us, dreamed of us too. No recovery, and all these sins don't bother me. Under the skin of me, which is you. Why do you want me to want something that means something? Why do you want me to want? I don't have a clue. Do you? This excess needs curbing. I find this so very disturbing. She owns me, she loans me, she moans just like you. No recovery. I wish this earth could mother me. I hope these skies will smother me, just like you do. Why do you want me to want something that means something? Why do you want me to want? I don't have a clue.
Steve Kilbey, who's now off to LA to record with the Church.